Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis is ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good afternoon. Woo. Good evening and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits because another day above the dirt, let's be real, is always a blessing. We got some breaking news we're going to have to get into very, very shortly. Sorry I didn't get a chance to get over here to you guys sooner, but unfortunately, things happened. You know, breaking news breaks, and you could be somewhere on the other side of the world, and you just try to get over here as quickly and as fast as you can get over here to break the news as quickly as possible. So I raced over here just so I can give you guys this news, and this is absolutely insane. We're going to get into it very shortly, so please do me a favor. Helps with the show, helps with the algorithm, helps get the news out there. Hit that like button down below, crush it, do what it do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, I'm on all of them, so make sure you hit that follow button. If you haven't done it yet, subscribe here on my main channel, please and thank you. Subscribe. That would be really, really amazing, okay? Make sure you hit that notification bell, set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because honestly, it is random, all right? Just like this breaking story, all right? Again, make sure that notification bell is set to all. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out that, okay? Support the channel if you can, and check out PascalMerch.com, okay? We got some really great stuff over there, all right? Anyway, we got to get into this conversation. I just did a video a few hours ago revolving around Candace Owens and all the craziness that's been going on revolving around her, whether you believe it or not, okay? Whether you think it's the real deal, you know, these threats are real or not, it is still a very scary situation. Whenever you get a free moment, check out that video if you can. But unfortunately, we got to talk about this that's going on right now. This is breaking news. This is absolutely insane. And this is also happening in a city that's supposed to be super, super safe right now. And I don't mean that to be funny. I don't mean that to be petty or coy or rude or anything of that sort. You'd think that this would not happen anywhere for that matter. But the fact that it's happening in D.C. is absolutely crazy to me. Could this mean, I know Macro just said, you know, be prepared for martial law. Could this mean something's going to, you know, could this spearhead something? Could this catapult something into something more intense? I don't know about all that. But what I do know is that what happened here should not have happened. No one should be losing their lives. Doesn't matter if you agree with National Guard being in D.C. or anywhere in this country. These National Guardsmen should not be losing their lives over just patrolling the streets, right? Doing what they're ordered to do, which is protect, right? So, I digress. No one should be losing their lives. I think we can all agree on that. But now we got some updates. We're going to go through a whole bunch of different things, okay? So I'm going to go down, okay, further back, you know, maybe about an hour, okay, ahead or, you know, behind, so we know what's going on here, all right? So two people, well, let me do this. The police have, no, you know what? Let me go back even more. I can't go anymore. But they say the police have cordoned off several blocks of 17th Street Northwest near the White House. A scrum of law enforcement officers and others can be seen, or can be, yeah, I guess that's can be seen. That's a typo. Right in front of the entrance of to a hotel at 17th and I Streets, I guess 17th and I. Okay, I don't know DC that well. All right, but here is a video of ambulances going. Now, just for those y'all who don't know what's going on, let me just make this abundantly clear. Two National Guardsmen have been hit. And of course, we got to use these code words, okay? But from my understanding, I don't know if they have passed away or if they are in critical condition. Last I heard, they were in critical condition. But we will be talking about that more here in just a minute, okay? But of course, this is absolutely crazy. We don't know if they were fatally hit or not. Of course, we're going to talk about that here in just a second. But the White House, this happened right near the White House. Just so you know, this happened right near the White House. I repeat, this happened right near the White House. So they had to basically go into an urgent lockdown because of what just happened just a little bit away from the White House. 2 officers, 2 soldiers. Now they're saying they have been unalived. They have been straight up emmed. I'm just going to say it, murdered. All right? Not far away from Washington, from the White House, everybody. I want to make that abundantly clear. So there's going to be a lot of breaking news. There's going to be a lot of stuff that we don't know about that we're going to learn about as we go through this show, okay? And this is all breaking news, all right? We're going to break down as much as we can. So get in here, hit that like button as soon as you walk in this mug, all right? Hit that like button down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you can. That'd be greatly appreciated. Let's continue on, though. They say 2 people heard the actual tragedy separately, who actually heard this separately told this reporter they heard around 2 shots and then a barrage of shots in quick succession. Don't worry, we're going to be looking at a bunch of different videos, clips that are all over X, etc. We got a gang of stuff to look at, guys. All right, there's a lot going on here, and if it is entirely true that these 2 have lost their lives, may they rest in peace. Real talk. And thank you for their service. Doesn't matter if you agree with what they were doing out there in the streets or not, but they were there. They didn't deserve to lose their life. Let's be real. Okay, apparently an hour ago, the White House is aware and actively monitoring this tragic situation. The president has been briefed. This is what Caroline Leavitt just said, the White House press secretary said. And of course, Trump is nowhere near DC. He's in Florida. But the White House is shut down. Real talk. Washington Metro PD said in a social media post that 1 suspect is in custody now, okay, and that the scene of this tragedy has been secured. So that's good news, right? But that's only 1 suspect. Is there more than just 1? Of course, we're going to want to know. Hopefully, we're going to find out more information here very, very soon. In fact, let me get some of this stuff here going, okay? Just grant me a little grace, guys. We're going to get this thing booming, okay? So, of course, let me show this to you guys here, too. They are saying breaking. Secret Service, this is at the time of the situation. This isn't breaking anymore right now, but this was at the time of the tragedy. So Secret Service seen running directly into danger to help render aid to a downed National Guard troop, okay, or National Guard troops near the White House. These agents are heroes. Keep praying and pray hard. I agree. I mean, like I said, they're out here to do their job. Let's take a look at this. Two of them I see. Okay. So there's another one down here right behind the bus stop here. And I guess the second one's right here. Oh my God. You know what really concerns me? I feel like we say this all the time, but you know what concerns me is that this could incentivize other people. That's the one thing I'm concerned about. You know, this is what scares me. I'm going to play one more time so you guys can see this again without the sound. But you know what what scares me is that that this could incentivize more people to do the same thing. Because we've already heard, that there's been attacks on ICE, right? We've already heard about these kinds of things with other with other um with other agencies, for lack of a better term, right? Um, the last thing I would hate to see is chaos happen in the streets just because they happen to be wearing army fatigue, right? I think that's a concern for all of us, that this doesn't turn into a thing, that this doesn't turn into a trend, right? I think that's the main concern. Let me get these super chats here really quick. Steve Baker, thank you so much for the love. I'm sorry, praying my two brothers in uniform has passed. I am a veteran also. Well, thank you so much for your service. And of course, this is not what we want to hear, right? This is the last thing we want to see happen, is any of this, right? This is terrible and absolutely terrifying. Okay? Let's keep it real. Absolutely freaking terrifying. Because now you got National Guard in other cities. It's not only just in DC. So, like I said, once they see something in their messed up, jolted, in their messed up, jilted, effed up minds, and they see this as successful, that might incentivize others to do it as well, which I hope is not the case. Army lady, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate it. As an Army vet and from West Virginia, my heart is broken. Yeah. R.I.P. brother and sister. Governor confirmed. Prayers. Yeah. We're like I said, there's a lot that we're gonna be looking at. It's just with these updates, it's pretty scary how this whole thing's going down. We're gonna get as much information as we can. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna get as much as I can because for a fact there is a lot going on. Now, here's the thing. There is a photo that's circulating all throughout the, not YouTube, all over X and all that. And it's an uncensored photo. I have it. I'm not sharing it on here, but if you are interested in checking it out, you're more than welcome to go check out my Facebook page. I posted it over there with more updates about what's going on. Okay, just so you guys know. It's pretty graphic, so I'm not going to show you guys that photo per se. But I think if you are interested in checking it out, by all means, go and check that out when you have time. Let's take a look at this. Trump did come out with a statement. So let's see what he said here. He said the animal that shot the two National Guardsmen, with both being critically wounded and now in two separate hospitals, is also severely wounded. But regardless, will pay a very steep price. God bless our great National Guard and all of our military and law enforcement. These are truly great people. I, as President of the United States, and everyone associated with the office of the presidency, am with you. So that's what he put out just recently, about a little less than an hour ago. So this is the governor confirming that both members have lost their lives. Governor Patrick Morrisey just said, "It is with great sorrow that we can confirm both members of the West Virginia National Guard who were hit earlier today in Washington, D.C., have passed away from their injuries. These brave West Virginians lost their lives in the service of their country. We are in ongoing contact with federal officials as the investigation continues. Our entire state grieves with their families, their loved ones, and the Guard community. West Virginia will never forget their service or their sacrifice, and we will demand full accountability for this horrific act. And again, I'm going to be asking questions. Is there something bigger going on here, or is it just one solo guy that just got in his feelings that wanted to cause havoc for the sake of causing havoc, right? I think that's what we all want to know. Oh, no. One second, y'all. Uh-oh. One second, guys. This whole thing just started tripping. Man, I hate when that happens. Let's see if that helps. Come on, y'all. Sorry, guys. I have a little bit of a glitch issue going on here. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna have to reboot, but I'll be right back. 2 seconds, guys. 2 seconds. Oh, man. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. Had a little bit of a glitch. So I just got to pull up all this crap, but give me a second. Let me just get some things cooking because there's going to be a press conference here shortly, but I want to make sure you guys have it. We have it all set up and running before we get everything going. Okay. Let me see this here real quick. Let's see here. Let's take a look at this.
The work that the National Guard has been doing in this city over the last couple of months. They've been focused on this safe and beautiful, make DC safe and beautiful mission. And a lot of times we get their reports every day talking about what members of the National Guard have done. And it's typically, we may have stopped a fight. We may have put down mulch. We may have helped.
We've done some, or, you know, and we've also done stories though, you know, how the National Guard has come to community meetings to talk to the community and find out, how do you want us to engage with you in meaningful ways? And some members of our community welcomed their engagement and their presence.
Yeah, because we know that their presence has been a bit jarring, because living in DC, we know what it's been like, and talking about the necessity of having the National Guard here. So you look at what they're doing here, and they've tried to sort of fit in, if you will, try to let you know that they are here to help in any way they can. And usually we know they have not been involved in policing efforts, but we know there have been cases where they have assisted police. So we're not sure what transpired here in downtown DC today, if they tried to stop something from happening and perhaps got involved, or if they were just caught up in the middle of some other gunfire.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring this up too, and Rafa has been having this conversation, and both Matt and Matthew too, sort of underscoring the risks of having, or that face guardsmen in public facing law enforcement communities. So there's going to be some new urgency around this, because we've heard the president talk about dispatching National Guard to other parts of the country. And those things right now are also wrapped up in the courts. But when you look at what we are learning here about what happened, we certainly know 2 National Guardsmen were shot. This has got to be something that is part of this broader conversation about whether this still makes sense.
Right. As we talked about before, we know that there's this legal battle going on right now. The Trump administration appealed that yesterday.
Right.
So we'll
and
find
they've got
out.
21 days.
They have 21 days, but they got on it right away without much of an explanation about why, or justifying the need for the National Guard here. So this conversation is going to continue. But as you think about the family members right now, you're talking about 2 Guard members. They follow these orders. Typically, they go to help out after natural disasters. The mission is clear. So when you have 2 members of the Guard shot in this city, and the mission all along has been sort of fractured, and you're wondering what the purpose is, I'm sure that's tougher to sit with as well.
And these are guardsmen, at least from West Virginia, we know, that have been here from the very beginning. So we're talking about sort of mid-August. And they are still here now. And we're also talking about how many guardsmen who are still in the city. And it's just about close to 2,200 that are still here, even in the midst of this wind down, so to speak.
All right, let's get to our Rafael Sanchez Cruz. Rafa, do you have an update for us?
Yeah, Lorenzo, look, Leslie, we're being told again that the update is coming soon, and I wanted to touch base with part of the conversation that you were having and that we were having earlier regarding kind of the role of the National Guard here in DC. And it's been an ongoing question as tourists are kind of walking towards the White House, which is right to my right-hand side here, and they're wondering, well, why was the National Guard here? You know, given that we have been consumed by this news, and for weeks now, it's interesting to see people from other parts of the country that are kind of still unaware of what's going on. And we need to, be clear that they were obviously part of the president's federal surge here in the district that he declared in the nation's capital because of a crime, right? And so a lot of the conversation that was being had regarding whether the National Guard should remain in DC or not was the actual, as you mentioned, Zoe, the policing enforcement. Were they actively participating in enforcement and assisting DC police and federal agents? We found that to be true based on the cases that were brought up, and was confirmed by the attorneys representing the Trump administration, saying, yes, they are assisting in what they can. They are not, conducting the arrest, but they are helping in detaining people, is what they had argued when that case was up in federal court.
So sad.
But a lot of the debate that was had among DC residents and the pushback that was that they were giving back was primarily about the lack of training that the troops had in actually policing efforts in a city, right? And so that was a lot of the concern that was being brought up to the city council and to Mayor Muriel Bowser, saying, look, we understand that they are here for this period of time. However, are they trained enough to know how to police, right? And that was the biggest concern. A lot of people saying, look, they're not trained in de-escalating situations. And that was one of the concerns. Again, this is all based on kind of bringing things into context before this actually happened. We don't have a clear picture yet of what happened here. We have witness testimonies. We have the mayor's office telling us that essentially they're trying to build that puzzle, right, piece by piece, to kind of confirm that what we're hearing from witnesses is in fact true, that they might have heard screaming before the shots were fired, and trying to piece together that video evidence that is in this corridor. Again, CCTV cameras all over DC, and have played a huge factor, and we can't kind of deny the fact of the real-time crime center, how that has played to kind of get a picture, a clear picture of what's going on. But that's what we know so far right now. So let me tell you again, 16th and I is back open again. I do want to mention slowly Carson.
I'm gonna put this on mute for a second. There's gonna be a press conference here happening any moment now, but obviously we are still trying to get some sort of idea of what the F actually happened here. One thing, Vance, Vice President Vance, had some things to say. So I'm pulling this up here really quick. Just him addressing troops in Kentucky, and says the motive is unknown about this whole tragedy of the National Guardsmen. But of course, he says, calling this incident a somber reminder of the risks service members face, which is very true. He continued saying, you may have seen this on your phones or on social media, but apparently there was a tragedy outside of the White House just a couple hours ago, and we're still learning everything. We still don't know the motive. There's a lot that we haven't figured out yet. And of course, this is as he took the stage at Kentucky's Fort Campbell. First of all, I want everybody who is a person of faith to say a prayer for those two National Guardsmen. I think it's a somber reminder that soldiers, whether they're active duty, reserve, or National Guard, our soldiers are the sword and the shield of the United States of America. So that's what he said in a statement just recently. Let me see if there's any new updates going on. Now, we already know, but let's just do a quick recap for all y'all who are just getting in here. They're saying that 2 members of the West Virginia National Guardsmen have been hit. We now know, according to, from Governor Morrissey, he said that these 2 lost their lives, right? These 2 allegedly lost their life, all right, according to the governor. So the guardsmen engaged in exchange in gunfire with a suspected assailant who was detained and transported away from the scene on a stretcher. So apparently that person, this assailant, was severely injured, at least according to President Trump. Okay, according to Trump, this particular assailant was detained. At first he was on the run, he got detained, and then we now understand that he was this assailant. We don't know if it's a male or a woman, male or female, has been severely injured as well. Okay, so here's just some shots from the scene, which isn't really much except, they taped off the area, that kind of thing. There's not much information. You just heard from that reporter. There was reports of screaming happening before gunfire, before there was a firefight. Okay. So it's very interesting. So guardsmen, this is according to what was reported about 5 minutes ago, guardsmen appeared to be targeted, suspect not cooperating. So the suspect approached the guardsmen, appearing to target them, firing first at one of the guardsmen who was mere feet away, according to 3 law enforcement sources. Our source said the suspect then fired at the other guardsman who tried to get behind a bus stop shelter. So the source said that the suspect is not cooperating with investigators and had no identification on him, so it's male, at the time of his arrest. Of course, there's a large swarm of activity going on at the scene. I mean, the news media, from internet journalists to legacy media are all out there trying to get as much information on what's going on. And I also got to say this too. All right. I think it's unfair, and I think it's very sloppy if we're all starting to point fingers at specific political bias If this person's a Democrat or Republican. We don't know if this person's male. Well, we now know that this person's male, but we don't know what race this person is. We don't know where this person is from. We don't know this person from a can of paint. We don't know what their motives were. So I say let's wait until we get more information before we start pointing fingers. This is the thing that frustrates me, and I know a lot of other people in the world, when we are so quick to come up with our theories and think that only the left are violent, right? Or on the other side, some people say only the right. Okay, only the right is violent. It's not right. It's not fair. It's sloppy work. Let's wait till we get the more information. That's what we need to do here. Okay. At the end of the day, what matters the most is that this assailant was caught. Thank God. And two National Guardsmen lost their lives. Let's have some respect for them and find out what's going on here first before we start pointing blame and get messy out here. All right? Let's be respectful. Please and thank you. So I already read about the Vance speaking about this. Now, what's interesting is that they're saying, like, this is 25 minutes ago. Now, hold on. Let me make sure I'm not losing my mind, because the governor of West Virginia, just put out a statement basically saying, yeah, these two lost their lives. So did someone not lose their life? Was there a third person that was injured that's not the suspect? That's something I'd like to know and understand, right? Oh boy. We got another update that just came out 52 seconds ago. I'm going to look into that. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Pete Hegseth, the Department of War, I guess is the new title. I prefer Department of Defense a lot more than War, but it is what it is. I guess it sounds cooler. He just made a statement here as well, which we are going to look into. Wow. Okay. This is a photo of the guy. Actually, let me save this and I'm going to pull this up so we can zoom in a little bit more. Okay. Just give me a second. Like I said, there's some things we got to look into, y'all. There's some things. And first, of course, I want to make sure that it's he is not, it doesn't look like he's hold on. Can I mark this up? Do I have that feature on this mug? Because it looks like he's not even in his skivvies. He looks like he's buck cherry. You know what I'm saying? Let me see something here. Can I mark this mug up? Can I? Dagnabbit. No. That is not what I'm trying to do. Okay. So there's a photo of the guy, but I don't know if I could show it to you guys because of how let's see, mark this up. Yeah, baby. Let's see. That's as best as I can do. Let's try that. We go and try that. Okay. We gonna try that. Hold up. It is not the best editing job. Editing job. My God, I can't talk today. Hold on one second, guys. Now I gotta find this mug. That's so annoying. That is so annoying. That's not what I had. Come on. Where the hell did it go? Okay, I'm gonna find it here in a second because I had it. I kind of edited the thing. Wait, is this it? No, it's not. The hell. Let me just fix it again. Now that I know I can do this. That'll do. Got it, guys. Sorry. I had to edit this because no, sir. We're not showing anybody's naughty bits, even a piece of trash like this guy. So here's this guy, okay? Just so you know. Just so you know. Here's the guy. This is the assailant, allegedly. And apparently, he has no clothing on. I don't even think he's even in his whitey-tighties. He's just out here. I don't know why I don't understand why he's in his birthday suit. Maybe they took his clothes off because they wanted to make sure that he didn't have anything on him still. Or he may have stripped himself naked. I don't know. But like I said, I had to edit this so you guys can see it for your damn self. All right? But he is in his birthday suit from what I saw, because it looked like pubes from afar. So I don't know why he's naked. I'm just letting you know. I don't understand why he's naked. Okay? I don't know. But nonetheless, that's really what's going on. And I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of photos I'm going to be showing y'all that are going to be edited kind of like that. But main thing I want to give you guys, this broke just about a few minutes ago. I'm sorry I had to try to edit that because I wanted you guys to see who the guy is. We don't know who he is. He could be a white man with a or a light-skinned dude with a beard. Doesn't mean he is Islamist. Doesn't mean it doesn't mean anything. Just means he's a crazed lunatic that decided to target 2 National Guardsmen for no reason. So let's wait and find out what's going on. He could be anybody, okay? He could be cool about him, okay? You never know. You never know. So let's wait. Let's wait. You never know. That photo, you don't know? Shoot. He could be Asian. I don't know. Shoot. He could be anybody. So let's wait. Because everybody's like, damn Islamists, the mucky muck. Wait. Tranquilo, por favor. Let's wait. And we'll find out more information, okay? Because I don't see any tattoos on his body that would be like a dead giveaway of what side or what allegiance he has to whatever. You know what I mean? We don't know yet. Let's find out, okay? But again, that piece of trash did that, right? Yes, thank you, Twisty Poo. Twisty Poo. Yes, he is classified as a POS, as a piece of shnish for now. And then later, he'll be a left piece of ish or a right piece of ish. But we do have something else we got to talk about here. Something new is going on, and I have a feeling somebody said, wait for this to augment a few things, right? To get things even more insane. Looks like we're about to get more insane out here in the membrane meaning Washington, D.C. Pete Hegseth just came out with a statement. He just announced President Trump will be surging 500 more National Guard troops into Washington, D.C. following today's tragedy. 500 more National Guard troops into Washington, D.C. Why? Yeah, Gamer Love is like, oh no. Yeah, no. Yeah, that's a lot of National Guards in one spot in D.C. Now, by the way, D.C., from what we've heard and from what I've understood, has been not as crazy as they say it was before National Guard came into DC. Now you have two people that lost, two guardsmen, may they rest in peace, but they lost their lives, right? You got the assailant. He's not on the run anymore. He's been caught, severely injured as well. And now they're saying, F it. We're going to turn it all the way up to 11 and rip the knob off. So they're bringing in 500 more National Guard troops into Washington, D.C. What say you on that, guys? Are you feeling that or no? Someone decided to target National Guardsmen. That will only stiffen our resolve. Then, of course, this guy, Nick Sorter, said there will be law and order. How is this law and order, though? 500 more guards, 500 more guardsmen in Washington, D.C.? Does that help the problem or stop the problem? I'm going to leave that question to you guys. I'm going to play this.
Myself and my team were notified.
Breaking news.
2 National Guardsmen have been shot in Washington, D.C., critically wounded. The shooter shot in a cowardly, dastardly act, targeting the best of America. Heroes willing to serve in Washington, D.C., serve for people they don't know and they've never met, because they love their country and their capital and their community. They were willing to do dangerous things others were not, because they love their fellow Americans. Someone decided to turn that into targeting National Guardsmen. That will only stiffen our resolve. We will never back down. We will secure our capital. We will secure our cities. In fact, this happened just steps away from the White House.
Now, let me just say this. Yes, this is a very serious thing. I want to make that abundantly clear. This is not funny. This is not yay. This is not something to be excited about or doing cartwheels or nothing about. This is all sad. This is very sad. 2 guardsmen lost their lives. But you realize that he says, we're not going to back down. We're not going to, give up. Give up what? Back down from what? That's what I'd like to know. I'm going to come back to this. We're going to replay that after this press conference because it's happening right now as we speak. Hold on. We're a few seconds behind, so I'm going to roll this back a little bit. Let's rock and roll. Press conference now. Don't worry, I'll come back to Pete Hegseth. We'll talk about that from the beginning all over again.
Ready.
Hold tight. This is important too.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Cash Patel, FBI Director. We're here to brief you on the tragic events that happened today at approximately 2:15 local time in Washington, D.C., where 2 of our brave members of the National Guard and the Department of War were brazenly attacked in a horrendous act of violence. They were shot. They're in critical condition. As you can see behind me, we have assembled the full force of both the federal and state and local law enforcement agencies to bring bear all of our resources to make sure we find the perpetrators responsible for this. And make no mistake, they will be brought to justice. Since this is an assault on a federal law enforcement officer, this will be treated at the federal level as an assault on a federal law enforcement officer. The FBI will lead out on that mission with our interagency partners, to include the Department of Homeland Security, Secret Service, ATF, DEA. And we're thankful for the mayor's assistance in this matter, the Metropolitan Police Department and their skills in investigating homicides and gun shootings in this city is exceptional. We will work together collaboratively because this is a matter of national security, because it's a matter of pride. President Trump has been informed. We've been in contact with the White House. We will shortchange the American public with no resources to make sure we find and safeguard our nation's capital right here in Washington, D.C., and bring anyone responsible for this heinous act of violence to justice here in Washington. I would lastly like to add to the American public and the world, please send your prayers to those brave warriors who are in critical condition and their families. They are here serving our country. They are here protecting everyday Americans and citizens around the world in our nation's capital. They are the heroes of this day, and we must remember them on this day and every day, and their families and the sacrifice they have made. I will now turn it over to Chief Carroll of the Metropolitan Police Department. Thank you.
Oh, boy. He's going to do everything he can to keep that job because he's about
Good
to get
afternoon,
fired.
everyone. My name is Jeff Carroll. I'm the Executive Assistant Chief here at the Metropolitan Police Department. At approximately 2:15 this afternoon, members of the DC National Guard were on high visibility patrols in the area of 17th and I Street Northwest when a suspect came around the corner, raised his arm with a firearm, and discharged it at the National Guard members. The National Guard members, there were other members that were in the area. They were able to, after some back and forth, able to subdue the individual and bring him into custody. Within moments, members of law enforcement in the area were also able to assist and bring that individual into custody. At this time, as the director mentioned, the National Guard members are being treated at a local hospital. DC Fire and EMS responded to the scene to provide first aid for those individuals and transport them to a local hospital. The suspect in this case was also transported for treatment at a local hospital. Madam Mayor.
I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C., and I, too, want to send my thoughts and prayers to the families of the guardsmen and to the guardsmen who are in critical condition in a local hospital. I am joined by members and leadership from the D.C. National Guard, from the West Virginia National Guard, United States Secret Service, Deputy Mayor Pia, Fire Chief Donnelly, and Metro's General Manager Randy Clark, and we join with the FBI Director in ensuring that MPD investigates, the U.S. Attorney prosecutes this case to the fullest extent of the law. I've had the opportunity to brief U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, who was speaking to the president when I called, as well as the United States Attorney Pirro, who assured me that this case will have her office's complete attention.
Mayor, was there any other suspect?
Chief.
Sure. So no, at this time, there was no indication that there was any other suspect. The one suspect that was involved in this incident, they were shot during the interaction and they were transported to the hospital for treatment.
Mayor, does this validate the need for the National Guard here in D.C.?
What we know, Andrea, is that this is a targeted shooting. One individual who appeared to target these guardsmen, that individual has been taken into custody.
Mayor, can you tell us any more details on the condition of the two National Guards?
Yeah.
And whether or not anyone
Yes.
else is injured.
Confirm that, please.
The FBI we'll make sure we find the perpetrators for this act. So just to clarify, the person believed to be responsible is in custody and there are no other suspects.
Sure. So I can start out again. Chief Carroll from MPD. So both of the individuals, the guard members, they are in critical condition at a local hospital at this time, being treated. At this point, we have no other suspects. We have reviewed video from the area. It appears, like I said, to be a lone gunman that raised a firearm and ambushed these members of the National Guard, and he was quickly taken into custody by other National Guard members and law enforcement members.
Have you got any sense of motive?
No, at this time, obviously, we're very in the preliminary stages of investigation. There's a lot of things, a lot of agents that are here from various federal agencies, law enforcement agencies. We have the full power of the FBI and our federal partners here in the task force. So we're looking at all those different aspects, but we don't have any motive. The National Guardsmen that were shot, I'm told they were armed.
Did they get off shots?
At this time, that's part of the preliminary investigation.
Wow.
Chief.
Sure. So how the suspect was apprehended, as I said, the individual, the suspect came around the corner. He immediately started firing a firearm at the two National Guard members. So at that time, there were other National Guard members that were in the area. They heard the gunfire. They actually were able to intervene and to kind of hold down the suspect after he had been shot on the ground until law enforcement got there within moments.
And he was shot by a National Guardsman.
At this point, we're still investigating exactly who shot the individual. It's not clear at this time.
Were there DC policemen in the area?
We don't know what kind of weapon. There was DC police. It happened right in front of the Metro, although there is no indication that the perpetrator was on the Metro. So there's Metro Transit Police in the area, and obviously being on 17th Street by the White House, Uniform Division of Secret Service were in the immediate area as well.
What kind of weapon the alleged perpetrator used?
We do not know at this time. It's still under investigation.
We're going to be able to take a couple more.
Has been able to question the suspect, or is his condition so severe that you haven't been able to have a conversation?
Sure. Again, so as I said, we're very preliminary in the investigation, so we're looking to all aspects of who the individual is, his connections. At this time, he's still in the hospital receiving treatment.
And I would just like, hang on. I would just like to add, the reason that this suspect is in custody is because of the bravery of the men and women of the National Guard who responded due to their extensive training to secure American lives today, there was not any further injury and any further shootings. We should highlight the fact that the men and women of law enforcement, the interagency, the Department of War, and the National Guard executed their training with great precision today and prevented an even greater tragedy from befalling us. These National Guardsmen are heroes, and we must pray for their safety and their speedy recovery. And as the chief said, we are in the preliminary stages of this investigation. We will run down every single lead, every piece of evidence. This is the power of the U.S. government at its best at the state, local, and federal level. That is why this interagency group is standing behind us to assure America and the world that we will continue to keep D.C. safe. And thankfully, we have Metropolitan Police Department, the National Guardsmen, and federal agents, and the Department of Justice and Attorney General willing to prosecute the mission to keep Americans safe. And President Trump has rightly stated that this heinous act will be investigated, and he has thanked the National Guards men and women and the men and women of law enforcement.
Thank you.
Woo, he's taking for a stopper.
Did the suspect say anything at the time? Why did the
Okay, I confused. Cabron. Okay, because you got the governor of West Virginia saying, may they rest in peace. And now we're hearing that these two they're severely injured, but they're there fighting for their lives still, no matter what. That's great freaking news. Okay, that they're alive. All right. It's not great news that they got hit, but it's great news that they're still alive. So I'm happy about that. But ain't Patel, ain't Cash doing everything he can. Ain't he singing for a supper? Right. And I want to say, thank you to the great law enforcement that does what they do, because without them doing what they do, then we would not be where we are right now. Now, doesn't that be the truth? And thanks to the God bless President Trump, because he's the bomb.com. Sorry. That's just what he sounds like. All right. Doesn't matter what side you are on. If you're pro-Trump or not pro-Trump, it is just funny. Because he knows his job is on the chopping block right now. He is in some serious trouble. But here's the thing, though. It should be him and Pam Bondi's job on the chopping block, too. But that's another conversation in itself, okay? But I want to say thank you so much to the law enforcement for doing what they did, because if they didn't do what they did, we wouldn't be here now. Isn't that interesting? Don't it seem interesting? Thanks to the FBI, the CIA, and all the other acronyms out here, and the alphabet. Effort. Throwing the whole alphabet in there. A all the way through to Z. Thank you so much. Anyway, I digress. I am confused. We're going to go back to that. Hit that rewind button. I am confused, cabron. I am confused. Because they said these two lost their lives. Now we're hearing something different. I'm not complaining about it. Hey, thank Jesus himself that they're still alive. I'm very happy about that. But at the same time, I am kind of curious what's going on. Because I'm just going to show it to you guys, because I feel like, because I'm not trying to gatekeep info. You feel me? All right, let me find it one more time. But they said National Guards lost their lives. It is with heavy heart to say, Hold on. Let's see, Governor. Where the heck did it go? This all happens when I had to hit the reboot, the refresh, and lose what they said. Okay, but they did say earlier, is it with heavy heart that they have lost their lives? And now I can't seem to find it to save my life. Hold on. Correction. Maybe I can. Hold on. Patrick Morsi. That's his name. That's who he is. There it is. There we go. Now he just said he's correcting himself. Look at this. He says, at first, an hour ago, he says, it is with great sorrow that we can confirm both members of the West Virginia National Guard who were hit earlier today have passed away from their injuries. That was an hour ago. Then up here, he says, we are now receiving conflicting reports about the condition of our two Guard members and will provide additional updates once we receive more complete information. Our prayers are with these brave service members, their families, and the entire Guard family. So that was 54 minutes ago. Isn't that interesting? It's kind of like Cash Patel when he said with Tyler Robinson, the whole Charlie Kirk situation, we got the guy. Thank you so much to the FBI and local PD for being so wonderful. And then they said, hey, by the way, we didn't get the guy. It's the wrong dude. That's the wrong dude. Yeah. Oh, see what had happened was we were wrong. What? So now you're hearing the same thing from Governor Patrick Morrisey. And what sucks is that 10,000 people liked the previous tweet, and they're all walking off with the idea that these two lost their lives. But they didn't. Interesting, right? Or at least that's what we just heard from that press conference. They are still alive. They're fighting for their lives right now. So fingers crossed, right? That they survive. Well, let's take a look at this. We got to go back to this. This is breaking news, and I think this is very interesting. All right. Or it's not breaking news, but it was breaking news when I first said it. But I have to, circle back and do it all over again because we were interrupted with that press conference, which was very important. Okay. But now the Department of War is speaking out. All right. Department of Defense. I'm sorry. It's hard to say war. It's weird. But anyway, Pete Hegseth just announced President Trump will be surging 500 more National Guards into Washington, D.C. following this tragedy. So he said someone decided to target National Guardsmen. That will only stiffen our resolve. Now, I ask you guys again, because we got interrupted, so we didn't get a chance to see the whole thing. So I'm going to start from the beginning, but I'm going to ask you guys again, is this the right response to this tragic event? Is more going to quell the issue, or is it going to ignite more fires out there in these DC streets? That's my question for you guys. Let's take a listen.
Myself and my team were notified that 2 National Guardsmen have been shot in Washington, D.C., critically wounded. The shooter shot in a cowardly, dastardly act targeting the best of America, heroes willing to serve in Washington, D.C., serve for people they don't know and they've never met because they love their country and their capital and their community. They were willing to do dangerous things others were not because they love their fellow Americans. Someone decided to turn that into targeting National Guardsmen. That will only stiffen our resolve. We will never back down. We will secure our capital. We will secure our cities. In fact, this happened just steps away from the White House. It will not stand.
Okay. I paused it right here earlier, but I got to pause it again. I'm asking, why? What do they have to not back down from? You see what I'm saying? Like, the National Guard is still going to be deployed in Washington, D.C., no matter what people do out here. If they actually pull the trigger on 5 more National Guard, it's not going to change anything. So for him to sit there and say, we're not going to back down, we're going to stand 10 toes down on what we're doing, it doesn't make any sense. Because they're already doing it. And there's not really, and I get it that there's protests out in the streets. But like I said, this is not stopping them from doing what they're doing. Then at the other thing is, like, I don't know why to me it looks like he's smirking up in this mug, like he's excited about this. But anyway, that's another conversation in itself. He's like, now it's the possibility of, it's like, F it, we're going to turn it all the way up. We're going to bring in more because we're not backing down. No one was stopping the National Guard from being out there. Of course, there was protests and frustrations about it, sure, but they still out there, baby, right?
And that's why President Trump has asked me, and I will ask the Secretary of the Army, to the National Guard, to add 500 additional troops, National Guardsmen, to Washington, D.C. This will only stiffen our resolve to ensure that we make Washington, D.C. safe and beautiful. The drop in crime has been historic. The increase in safety and security has been historic. But if criminals want to conduct things like this, violence against America's best, we will never back down.
Here's the thing. You realize that he says the crime out here has been historic. Okay, fine. But would you rather take a few, like, I don't know, would you rather take like maybe somebody trying to, I don't know, let's just say a few smaller crimes, a handful of smaller crimes, rather than getting two National Guardsmen getting pew-pewed in the face? Like, wouldn't you take the smaller crimes, the smaller slap on the wrist crimes, or those misdemeanors over two guardsmen actually fighting for their lives in a hospital right now? And I know some of y'all are gonna be like, you dumb. I'm just asking for real. For me, I'd take the smaller crimes over people losing their lives out here in these streets. And here's the other thing too. By them sitting there going, oh, no, we're turning it all the way up to 11 and ripping the knob off, mother lover. We're bringing in even more. We're bringing in 500 more National Guard troops. Try us, baby. You don't think that those that want to retaliate aren't going to retaliate, if not even at a greater scale now? Remember, I want to remind you guys, they said crime in DC was the lowest it's ever been before the National Guard was deployed there. Just so you know. Before National Guard was even deployed there, DC was not as crime-ridden as they said at that press conference. In fact, Cash Patel done mucked up, and he was like, yeah, crime has been lowest it's ever been. When Trump's showing us like graphics, that they just made off of ChatGPT and went to Kinko's, it's not Kinko's, but FedEx, okay, and they blew it up and put it on cardboard and said, see these graphs? See what Washington, D.C. looks like? And look right next to it. You see that's supposed to be Beirut. You see how bad our crime is? It's worse than Beirut. This is insane. And then what's crazy is that you have Cash Patel go up there and go, it's the lowest it's ever been. What? Huh? But they had all the numbers in the graphs. They had the bar graphs. You know what I mean? See how big that tower is? It looks almost looks like the World Trade. I wonder why. We must protect, right? All this BS, right? And then they deployed. And now this happens. And now we're hearing from Pete Hegseth, and he's saying, we're not going to back down. That's what we're not going to do. We're going to stand 10 toes down. That's what we're going to do. Huh? Does that help? Is this helping the situation or making it worse? Not going to back down from what? You already have. It's not like you just put out two National Guardsmen all by them lonesomes, okay? And just said, let's just see what happens with these two National Guardsmen. You already have troops out there in D.C. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. Except two innocent lives lost their lives right now, or are fighting for their lives. Correction, at least from what we're understanding here. That's it. So again, turning it all the way up and ripping the knob off, I don't think it's the solution to this situation. I feel like it could only get worse. But okay.
President Trump will never back down. That's
Really?
why the American people elected him. America and our warriors, our National Guardsmen are strong. And so we're following this very closely. We're getting information rapidly. I mentioned the faith of this country, the Christian faith, the prayers. I would ask for prayers for our National Guardsmen.
Excuse me, Mr.
Appeals to heaven for our National Guardsmen, for their families, on bended knee as a War Department, as a nation.
Excuse me,
We will never back down.
Excuse
Don't be thinking about them right now.
Venezuela.
We're with a couple of great productive meetings with the President and Minister of Defense here, where we are dedicated to the counter-cartel effort here. Criminality knows no boundaries, whether it's the United States of America and Washington, D.C., or it's the Caribbean and the Western Hemisphere. We are going to go after narco terrorists. It will not stand. Our borders will be secure, whether it's the Dominican Republic or the United States of America, and we look forward to working with our partners to make it happen. You know, President Trump believes in a clear principle: peace through strength. You get peace by being strong. And if you're a narco terrorist who wants to bring drugs to the United States of America, we will find you, we will fix you, and we will finish you, because we have all the rights in the world. We've got lots of attorneys and lots of intel analysts, and we know exactly who we're targeting and why. If you're involved in that conduct, we will kill you. It's that deadly serious because of the poison that has made its way into the American public for far too long. President Trump is serious about it. We're serious about it. And we're proud to be working with the Dominican Republic, another country very serious about ensuring that cartels don't set the agenda. We do. Thank you very much.
Okay. 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 Yeah. I'm going to say something. Okay, we're going to get back into this, more updates and everything, and just seeing some live coverage, because I'm sure there's a whole lot of live coverage that we're going to look into. But is it just me, or does it feel like faith is now turned into a trend? Am I the only one that feels like faith has turned into a trend? Like, you know, it's like, oh, you know, to the you know, our Christian faith, and it's got to be Christian this, Christian that, Christian this, Christian that, right? Faith. Is it just me, or has faith turned into a trendy thing now? Because we're just hearing it from him too. And I guarantee you, he didn't start walking into a church until he got this job. I said it. I don't care. But it's like, oh, you know, our Christian faith, you know, to God, oh, you know, prayers out for those Christian loving individuals, you know, faith in God and Jesus, and he died on the cross. Suddenly it's all faith. Now it's a trendy thing, like hitting the whoa for a TikTok video. When did that happen? When Charlie Kirk lost his life, then suddenly now it's a trendy thing to talk about God and faith and Christianity? Am I the only one that sees that? Don't get me wrong. Listen, if you want to find faith and you find faith, good on you. Make sure it's genuine, though. Make sure you're finding faith because you want to find faith, not because it's the cool thing to do. It's the trendy thing to do. Yes, I'm praising. I'm going to church now. Man, fine, cool. You found God, but are you just painting by numbers, or are you actually doing the work? Yeah, I said it. I don't give a flying. I don't care. I just feel like it's turned into a thing. Like, yeah, you know, got these new whatevers now. You know what I mean? Whatever's trending and cool at that time, right? So everyone's wearing it like it's an accessory rather than it being a lifestyle. In fact, those that walk in faith, they don't have to be all up in your face about it. I digress. We're not going to talk about that, okay? I just think it's just turned into a fad. I don't know why. It's very weird. It's messed up. People should be finding faith because they really want to find faith, not because it looks good. You know, it looks good on their IG. I've just been seeing that lately. I'm like, where is this coming from? Where is this all coming from? If you walk in faith, it doesn't need to be, it doesn't need to be all up in your checking the boxes off to say, to show that you're still trendy and you're still with it. Does that make sense? But I digress. Don't get me wrong. Let me be real. I've seen friends find faith, and I've seen friends become baptized and become born again and all that. I think that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Show that stuff, and then go with God. Go with your faith. Go find that faith. But if you're doing it for other reasons, you're not finding faith. You're finding clicks. That's it. Just saying that out loud. And I think that we are living in a world now where the leaders that we have, the elected officials and the ones up there, all they're doing is the same. You know what I mean? We got to paint by numbers by saying all this stuff because for a fact, our listeners, they're all Christian, but they're not. Dag nabbit, they're not. Not all of them. But I digress. Let us continue on to what's going on here. All right. It's just the fake. It's the fallacies that drive me insane. That's all. Okay. It's the masks that some wear just so that they can sound good, that just drive me up the freaking wall. Moving on. Let's see what they got to say.
They're there, or because we believe they may be there?
Well, Leslie and Lorenzo, we haven't confirmed it just yet. We've just been seeing little factors that might indicate that the suspect or the National Guardsman might be here at the hospital. What we can tell you that we've been seeing steadily is a police presence here outside of the hospital. We're going to show you a little bit and zoom in so you can see DC police actively out here outside of the hospital near the emergency entrance. Now, this might be normal activity, but also outside of seeing DC police, we can tell you that U.S. Secret Service vehicles are also here outside of the hospital, and they have been here for quite some time, since before we arrived to the hospital. So we've been seeing a lot of other media photographers out here kind of just coming together to see if we will see any other clues or hear any other updates or information to confirm if any of the victims, those two National Guardsmen, or if the suspect is here inside the hospital. But I can tell you, it has been very quiet here. A lot of people we've been talking to, they've been passing by, hearing the information, asking us for updates. We've been kind of giving that information during the press conference. A lot of them are really surprised and shocked by this. Many of them still trying to wrap their minds around what exactly happened. But right now, like you said, we are still trying to confirm and work and figure out that information if any of them are here inside GW Hospital. But we can tell you it's been an ongoing police presence here. So of course we'll continue to work and try to find out much more information. But right now that's what we know. We've seen a police presence steadily here. A lot of people going in and out of the hospital. If we go back a little bit to around 3:18, that's when we first arrived near the scene on 17th and Constitution. We can tell you that when we first arrived to that scene over there, that's when we saw an ambulance. Now, it was unusual activity along the National Mall. We saw U.S. Park Police. We also saw MPD. But when we saw that ambulance, we noticed it was very close to the monument right there. It was parked on the grass. We know that we have seen a helicopter that was parked nearby the monument as well. So we saw a lot of activity with transporting someone from that area. And now we are trying to figure out if they were brought here to GW Hospital. So still a lot of questions, even after that quick press conference that we just had from officials. But of course, we'll work to try to find out much more information and update you as soon as we learn it. We'll send it back to you guys.
Yeah, I think we're showing some of the video that you were just talking about with the emergency vehicles arriving over near the Washington Monument, where the helicopter was that picked up presumably the National Guardsmen to take them to a local hospital. It may be George Washington University Hospital. All signs seem to suggest that's the case.
Yeah, and no matter where they are right now, I know that this city is praying and hoping that they make a full recovery.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's insane that we've had reports of, they're showing it finally. They're showing it now. I mean, obviously, we're a little bit behind on the live, but they just showed this now, saying that the governor now is like, oops, my bad. What I meant is that they still fighting for their lives. So again, I'm hoping that they come back with a speedy recovery. I hope they're going to be okay. I truly think that. Okay. I really, really believe that I really hope that they're going to be okay. But we're going to continue on. We got a few more things I want to share with y'all. Hold on one second. Come on. There we go. Because of course there's been a lot of stuff that was brewing beforehand, and even
Apparently
now.
there was a shooting outside the White House just a couple of hours ago.
JD Vance.
And we're still learning everything. We still don't know the motive. There's a lot that we haven't yet figured out. But what we do know is that a couple of National Guardsmen were injured in the line of duty. And first of all, I want everybody who's a person of faith to say a prayer for those two National Guardsmen, that they're able to spend Thanksgiving with their families instead of losing their lives, because I understand they're still in pretty tough condition. But I think it's a somber reminder that soldiers, whether they're active duty, reserve, or National Guard, our soldiers are the sword and the shield of the United States of America. And as a person who goes into work every single day in that building and knows that there are a lot of people who wear the uniform of the United States Army, let me just say very personally, thank them for what they're doing. We're grateful to them, and we're praying that they're going to be safe and they're going to spend Thanksgiving with their families. God bless them.
Yeah, I hope that they're going to be okay. I truly hope that they're going to be okay. We're going to find out soon enough, though.
Okay, so we're watching live there, Vice President.
Nope. I'm hoping that they're going to be
okay. The Secretary of Defense is creating units, official military units, to quite frankly watch the American people. And that's the thing that is absolutely abhorrent. It reminds me so much of what happened in Germany in the 1930s.
Now, let me just show you this. And of course, I know this is from CNN, so hold on. I already know everybody's feeling this right now because for some odd reason, everybody hates CNN, but everyone thinks this. CNN. But hold on. Sometimes they give out information over there too. That's like, whoa, what the F? So they're saying Trump to create specialized guard unit for quote unquote public order issues. What's this? What's going on here? What's going on here? Is that for real? What? I mean, we'll see if that'll be insane if it's real. That'll be insane if that's true. I'm gonna play that one more time because that's insane.
Actually, what the president is doing through the Secretary of Defense is creating units, official military units, to quite frankly watch the American people. And that's the thing that is absolutely abhorrent. It reminds me so much of what happened in Germany in the 1930s.
This is, if that's true, this is very interesting. But let me also point something out. Pete Hegseth just said, we're not going to back down. We're not backing down. In fact, we're going all the way up. That's what we're going to do, baby. We're going to bring in 500 more National Guard troops, right? But why don't they have that same attitude towards school tragedies? Why don't they have that same attitude to all these mass tragedies that are still happening to this day? It seems like the trend is a Christmas tree lighting. Suddenly everybody wants to open fire on innocent lives, innocent families and children that want to see a Christmas tree get lit up in their town. Why are they going, we're not backing down on that situation? But they're not willing to do whatever it takes to stop these assailants and these monsters from running around in public places, blazing bullets everywhere and taking the lives of innocent people. They won't back down on this situation, which, by the way, that's the only one that we know of right now, where two people are fighting for their lives right now. Like I said, I'm not trying to belittle what happened to those two. I hope that they make it through. I'm praying that they make it through. But what about all the other tragedies that have been happening out here for like decades, Mang? What about that? They got zero tolerance on this, but they don't have zero tolerance on protecting our youngins? Make that make sense, y'all. But okay, I digress. I digress. I digress. I digress. I digress. Here's another one. National Guard soldier being airlifted to the actual. Damn, that's loud. To the actual hospital. Let's take a look at this too. Come on, man. My mouse is tripping. Let's go. Come on. Again, I hope that that individual, I mean, both individuals make it through. Real talk. It's pretty sloppy and insane that we've been hearing that that you got people fighting for their lives, but they put out information saying that they were gone. So this is just wild stuff. But let's continue. Let's see what's going on over here too. Hold on.
Evening. So Matt, we heard from leaders a short time ago. What more can you add to this conversation? What more are you hearing out there?
Yeah, I think the thing we've really got to talk about here is that what we heard was the preliminary investigation. You heard folks asking about motive. So, with you folks at home, I wanted to walk through kind of what we know at this point. So what we heard from Cash Patel is that there are, like Leslie and Lorenzo were saying, 2 West Virginia National Guardsmen in critical condition. But what led up to that? What we're learning from MPD is that at this point, they have not been able to discern a motive. That doesn't mean there isn't one. That doesn't mean that they haven't figured that out or they will not. But at this point, there is not a motive. And to kind of reiterate what happened here, it sounds like the National Guardsmen were doing a high visibility patrol in this area, right around Farragut West Metro stop. Now, at some point when coming around the corner, they said without any sort of provocation, it sounds like at this point in the investigation, an ambush, this suspect started to shoot into a group of National Guardsmen. We now know that 2 of those West Virginia National Guardsmen were hit, but other National Guards patrols in the area, along with law enforcement, were able to subdue the suspect. We did hear that he was, the suspect rather, was shot by someone. We don't know if that was law enforcement or National Guardsmen, who that particularly was, but we know that that's why he is also at a hospital right now. We don't know. We're still working to learn more information about who is at which hospital, what the severity of their conditions are in terms of, the severity of the suspect's condition. The National Guards, we know those are critical injuries that they're working on at this point. But one of the things that we've kind of been dealing with throughout the afternoon is sort of this again. It's right here in the middle of downtown DC on a holiday week, people walking around. And so as the shooting happened, slowly, quickly, people started to panic. Things were kind of going in a sideways direction as they not only saw some, but others heard the gunshots. And we wanted to give you a listen to kind of what the scene looked like when I arrived talking to folks. This is a man from Albany, Georgia, who gave us some insight into what he heard.
5 shots.
5 shots?
Then everybody was running. sirens everywhere, helicopters.
Where did you see everybody
There
kind
was 2 shots, and then 3 came probably 30 seconds behind them, too.
Oh, my gosh. What did you see after that? Everybody running? Where were they running to?
They was running from that way this way.
What are you talking about, people or
Yeah,
police?
everybody, people.
And now what are you seeing since you've been here?
I noticed that bank is surrounded.
Yeah. Did you see any National Guardsmen around? Or
No, I have not. I didn't even know that was the case until he told me about it.
Yeah, so what I want to be able to do to walk everyone through this situation now is to give you an idea of what we're dealing with now that we know sort of like the preliminaries of what happened. This is what it looks like from across Farragut Square. You can see the contingent of law enforcement, the interagency work, and this is what Kash Patel, the FBI director, was talking about. He said, the great work between local and federal law enforcement as well as the National Guard, he believes will make this a quick investigation, one that he believes will bring justice. And of course, Janine Pirro, the U.S. Attorney for D.C., she has already been in contact with the mayor. We heard talking about how she is planning to move forward with this case. But of course, there's so much to get to before it actually sees a courtroom, right? And
now, again, just reading this off camera or off screen, but they're saying there's no indication that there's any other suspect. So the police said that there's no other suspect except for the one they have currently in custody. So no, at this time, there is no indication that there is any other suspect. The one suspect that was involved in this incident that was actually hit during this interaction, and they were actually transported, like we already heard about, to the hospital for treatment. We also heard that they are not being cooperative with 5-0. Okay. They are not also being cooperative with 5-0 as well. This could just be some crazed lunatic. You never know. Just so you guys know. All right. And those two, from what we understand, have not lost their lives. They are fighting for their lives right now as we speak. So hopefully they'll be okay. But now, yes, I create. Okay. Looks like there's going to be more. They are about to augment the amount of National Guards in DC. And if they do that there, that could mean the other cities that have the National Guard as well might have that same uptick as well. You just never know. See, here's the thing. I have concerns. All right. I have massive concerns because remember, it all started with Columbine. Let's just be real. Yes, I said it. It all started with Columbine for the most part, right? And then it became a fad. It became a thing. Now it's still a thing. This fad has been going on for decades now. Schools getting hit up, right, by assailants because they feel like they were ignored, or they want to glorify their predecessor, right? These disturbing, nasty, notorious names that have done these things in the past. Now you got this situation that just happened with these National Guardsmen. You mean to tell me that other cities where there's National Guard, they're not going to look at this and go, that are crazed lunatics in the brain, they're going to look at this and go, oh, they're human too. They were successful in DC. Who's to say that they're not about to do it somewhere else, y'all? Or keep trying to do it here in DC? Could this be? I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm just trying to bring some possibilities into your brains. Could Washington, D.C. suddenly turn into a war zone in a matter of weeks because of the uptick in turnout with the National Guard in D.C.? Then think about all these other places. Remember that. Remember all the ICE protests, all the stuff that's going on throughout the country in various cities. It's a peppering right now. It ain't a full-on salting, okay? It is a peppering of National Guard and ICE in various areas. Think about it. One thing that concerns me is that somebody's going to see this, feel some type of way, and go, oh, they did it, and then try to do it again in their parts of the woods, in their neck of the woods. I don't want to see that. No one wants to see that. We don't need a war zone on American soil. I think there's peace through strength. Yes, I believe that too, but it's a different type of strength. This This ain't the strength I'm talking about, okay? That Pete Hegseth is talking about. He says peace through strength. Okay. There's a different type of strength that I'm thinking about. Not this, right? Not let's bring in 500 more troops and all that, right? So I don't know what's going to happen here. And this is so sad because this, obviously, all this happening right around the holidays like this. Literally tomorrow's Thanksgiving, y'all. This is terrible. And it might get worse. And I hope it doesn't. Keiko, thank you so much. Welcome to the family. And just like Keiko, you can hit that join button down below and become a member. I'm just getting some of these super chats here really quick because they are kind of piling up. Michelle Woods, thank you so much for the love. Patel, still have a deer in headlights look. Yeah, he does. He still most definitely does. Okay. And now it's a deer in headlights that's about to get pulverized by that semi, because that semi is his job, because he's about to get terminated. Okay. He about to lose his job. It's coming. It's coming very soon. All right. But moving on. MB, thank you so much for the love. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for being a member for the past 24 months, 2 years. Wow. Thank you so very much. Oh, your comment was, last week, a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to end its deployment of National Guard troops sent to help police the nation's capital. The nation's capital. But okay, so if that happened last week, he shouldn't be able to send or deploy 500 more troops in D.C. then, if that's the case. If a federal judge ordered him to stop the deployment of National Guards, then why is he doing this even more now? Why is he saying, okay, 500 more? If a federal judge just ordered him not to send National Guard troops there. Isn't that breaking the law? It's a federal order. It's a federally appointed judge making this order. That's very interesting. But he's been bending the rules quite a bit. We've all seen that. Rianne, thank you so much for being a member for almost 3 years. That means the world to me. Thank you so much. Pascal, please keep telling the truth. Preach it, brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'll continue. Even if I get kicked off of TikTok. Yes, that just happened. I got banned on TikTok again, guys. You want to know why I got banned on TikTok? For something that didn't even exist. Yeah. They said that I was using bots to engage for engagement. Bots for engagement for my channel, for my page on TikTok. That wasn't true. That's not true at all. I ain't got time to be putting out bots in the first place. What's a bot? I'm kidding. I know what a bot is, but I don't got time for that. I'm not tech savvy like that. You know what I'm saying? All I've been doing is report the news. For some odd reason, TikTok does not like me too much. I don't know why. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not. But now they're saying that I used third-party bots to augment the engagement on my videos and on my page, my TikTok page. Not true at all. I guess they just don't like me talking about things that are going on in the world. That's basically what it is. Okay. And I'm not going on my Candace Owens tip. Okay. I'm not sitting here saying the moon landing was fake or something like that. You know what I'm saying? I ain't doing all that. All I'm doing is reporting the news, baby. All right. And they don't even like that. For some odd reason, they don't like that. So yeah, I don't have TikTok right now. I've appealed. Okay. But it's not it is what it is. If I don't use TikTok, I don't use TikTok. I really don't care. Okay. They just don't like when I'm talking things. Okay. And I know, Stargazing, you guys are still with me. Ain't nothing changed. I appreciate y'all. But I think it's just ridiculous. There are many other channels out there on TikTok that say so much worse. I'm not saying anything bad. All I'm doing is reporting the news. You know what I mean? It's like, this has happened. This has happened. This other thing happened. Just so y'all know, there's this missing persons case. This missing persons case. You see what I'm saying? And on and on and on and on and on, right? I guess they don't like me talking about those things, baby. It is what it is. I must be doing something right, I guess, right? I guess I'm doing something right. And they couldn't find anything because, I don't curse or anything like that. I don't, right? So it is what it is, okay? Mimi, thank you so much for the super stick. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so very much. But yeah, ridiculous. But it's fine. It's fine. You know what I mean? We're going to keep on trucking. It's not like it. I had 1 million followers. It's not like that at all. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I lost it. If I lose it, I lose it. It is what it is. TikTok just be TikTok, And it's owned by the WH now. White House, just so you know. Okay. The Caucasian domicile. There it is. There it is. The Caucasian domicile. Okay. So, yes. And that's not me trying to be racist. I was just trying to be funny. Like the White House, Caucasian domicile. Don't worry. I know somebody's going to be mad out there. How dare you say that? Why has it got to be Caucasian? I was just trying to be funny. There it is. Ha! So let's continue on, though. Okay? Let's continue on. Yeah, they don't want us to talk about stuff. You know what I'm saying? They don't want us talking about stuff. They don't want us talking at all.
In terms of gathering evidence. So I want to take you across the way, and as you can see, because this was near a metro stop, even though it was not at the metro stop at West Farragut, there is Metro Transit Police. They're involved in the investigation. MPD, as we saw, is the lead for the investigation, but it seems like the spokesperson for this was Cash Patel, sort of trying to show a bit of control over the investigation to show that the federal partners and local partners are working well together and that they are very much in control, despite the fact that this is a week in which, it's Thanksgiving week. Many people are already out of town. As we're moving through this investigation, remember that part of what they're looking for is not only forensic evidence, but they're looking for any sort of information that might lead to what led up to the ambush. We've heard conflicting reports from witnesses about shouting, but that, as we heard, was potentially not the case, that this was just an ambush. The National Guardsmen did not see it coming, and luckily the quick work of nearby National Guards were able to bring the suspect into custody. This is according to MPD. But right now, you have forensics teams going through this. This is not, as you heard, a homicide scene, by the way, yet. It's very clear to make that distinction, because when the governor of West Virginia perhaps prematurely or improperly tweeted that both the guardsmen died, that would change the investigation significantly from, a shooting, a violent shooting, but to a homicide in which there will be other factors coming forward in terms of charges potentially. So we're working to get more information throughout the night. What we're going to have to do is stay on top of the guardsmen's condition as well as where they are in the investigation. We don't foresee, unless something comes up, any sort of press conferences coming up to us anytime soon after that last one. But again, we want to reiterate sort of the big portions of this particular investigation, right? That 2 guardsmen have been shot. They're in critical condition, ambushed, according to MPD, by a suspect who is also has injuries, having been shot by law enforcement. He is also at a hospital. We're working to figure out which of the 2, although there are only several trauma centers nearby, and generally gunshot victims will go to the trauma centers, which would be GW, which would be MedStar, any of the MedStar Hospital Centers, another trauma center. And there's about 4 or 5 in the region. So we know that they're at one of those, and we're working to get more information into who the suspect is. And we don't know if we'll get that tonight, but there's always a chance as we continue to work with our partners to get the identity of the suspect, their injuries, and if throughout their treatment they are charged or at least put into custody while they're there, we will be able to bring you those charges and what that looks like. But it's going to be an investigation that we can see even from our side here on the press, here in the media. It's going to be throughout the night that we're checking to get you the latest information, because things are going to be happening by the hour tonight, and we'll be on top of it. But for now, Farragut Square, I'm Matt Gregory. Back to you.
Matt, thank you for that. We've been talking about what these National Guardsmen were doing when they were out on patrol. And a lot of times law enforcement officials use terms that may not be fully understandable to people, right? They said that these National Guards members were on a high visibility patrol, which made us wonder, Tell us a little bit more about that. And so we're learning that for obvious reasons, this is a patrol that's obviously very apparent to the public. They're not being stealthy. They're there to be to deter crime, to reassure the community.
Questions. We wanted to know more, including if anybody else was hurt, because according to one witness who witnessed this shooting, that there was an innocent bystander who possibly was shot and was at least removed from the scene. And here at this particular scene, there's no signs of slowing down. We know the shooting.
I want to read this off screen really quick, okay? Just another update about 7 minutes ago. And this is, of course, is from the press conference, but I think that this is important to remember as well. DC mayor is describing this attack on these two National Guardsmen as a targeted attack, okay? She is saying that this was a targeted attack. Of course, she's condemned this situation, of course. And she is saying that this was a targeted attack. Today's attack on two members of the West Virginia National Guard was horrific and unconscionable. This is, of course, what she also wrote on X as well. Of course, she's sending prayers to the victims and loved ones. Of course, Democratic congressional leaders are denouncing this tragedy, of course, as well. Senator Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said, "My heart breaks for the victims of this horrific tragedy in Washington, D.C. near the White House. I am closely monitoring the situation and I'm praying for the wounded National Guardsmen and their families. And I thank all the first responders for their quick action to capture this actual suspect." And then the House of Representatives Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said, in a post as well, praying for the National Guard members wounded in this horrific tragedy. Thankful for the brave law enforcement officers and first responders who swiftly apprehended a suspect. There's no place for violence in America. And of course, Mike Johnson had something to say. House Speaker Mike Johnson praised the heroic work of the National Guard in D.C. And of course, it's called for prayers in the wake of this tragedy that happened today. So it says a suspect is now in custody following the tragic events in D.C. this afternoon. This is what he was posting on X. Please join us in prayer for the National Guardsmen who were hit near the White House today. And I pray and pray with us for their loved ones too. The National Guard has done heroic work this year, working around the clock to make our nation's capital safe again. We are forever grateful for the swift actions of law enforcement and for all those who risked their own lives to protect everyone else. Of course, this is what Mike Johnson, House Speaker Mike Johnson, wrote in a tweet as well.
Happened around 2:15 this afternoon, but obviously we have more investigators making their way here. We have this part of the street blocked off, and I really want to zoom in all the way to the end of the street where we do have that gathering of law enforcement and investigators. Obviously, outside of MPD, we have federal investigators here as well, even from Secret Service. And so earlier today, during that press conference, knowing that the guardsmen were able to at least hold this suspect down until law enforcement arrived to arrest this person, really highlighted the gravity of the situation, the intensity of what was taking place. And, we talk about high visibility presence from the National Guard troops, but really this is a busy area. We have, employees back now that the government shutdown is over. This is a highly frequented area with the businesses nearby. And we also spoke to another person who says that she witnessed kids and adults running, scurrying as soon as these gunshots erupted, again, just after 2:00 this afternoon. And so I really want to show to my right here and really throughout Farragut Square just the amount of attention this has gotten from both local and national media. This part of the street, no doubt, is going to be blocked off for quite some time. And we also heard from FBI Director Kash Patel, because really the conversation is going to be involving federal agencies. We know the mayor spoke to Pam Bondi, who was already on the phone with President Donald Trump. As we have reported already, President Donald Trump has requested 500 more National Guardsmen to come here, which brings up the conversation and question if that is a necessary move. But really a point of interest from both the mayor and FBI Director Kash Patel is honoring these people, the National Guardsmen who also have been hurt, but also who responded quickly at a time when really they were ambushed.
Since this is an assault on a federal law enforcement officer, this will be treated at the federal level as an assault on a federal law enforcement officer. The FBI will lead out on that mission with our interagency partners to include the Department of Homeland Security, Secret Service, ATF, DEA, and we're thankful for the mayor's assistance in this matter, the Metropolitan Police Department and their skills in investigating homicides and gun shootings in this city is exceptional. We will work together collaboratively because this is a matter of national security, because it's a matter of pride. President Trump has been informed. We've been in contact with the White House. We will shortchange the American public with no resources to make sure we find and safeguard our nation's capital right here in Washington, D.C., and bring anyone responsible for this heinous act of violence.
At approximately 2:15 this afternoon, members of the
I'm
DC
sorry.
National Guard.
Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. I got to relive that moment one more time. I am really sorry. But that moment where Kash Patel just kind of like jumped in and just took over the conversation. I'm sorry. We just have to relive that moment just one more again. Can you just indulge me just for 1 second? I just need to see that moment one more time. Okay? Like you realize that this guy is in serious trouble. I want to make this abundantly clear. Kash Patel is in some serious trouble right now. Okay? Not only because of all the stuff that's been going on with the Charlie Kirk stuff, there's been a lot of very interesting things going on with that. How it's not only just on him, but he is the face of the FBI. But his job is on the line right now. Why? Because he's been making a lot of strange moves lately. And it all has to do with his love. His country singer girlfriend. Yes. Yes, this is not his wife. This is a girl that he's dating. That obviously he is very much in love with. And don't get me wrong. Hey, do you boo boo? I'm happy he found love. Let's be real. But when it's on the American people's tax-paying dollars, that's a problem. Now, not only is he out here taking jets on taxpayer dollars with his girlfriend to places to see her perform, to take her to places to perform and all that. He also has brought in agents to work as security detail, as bodyguards for his girl. I'm not joking. This is real. Sorry for the left turn, but we got to take a look at this. Hold on. Before we even, hold on. Agents. This is a real thing. This is really a real thing. Okay. He is using FBI SWAT agents. Okay. To protect his girlfriend. And I forgot her name, but now I got it here. Alexis Wilkins. All right. So he is. I'm really trying not to laugh. But let me show you guys this really quick. This is for real. I'm sorry for the left turn, but this is important. We need to know our cast of characters here. Okay. We need to know a little bit more about our cast of characters. Okay. Let's completely keep it a bean. Now, this is very interesting. All right. I don't need to see this. What the hell's that? He is getting criticized right now for assigning SWAT team members, FBI SWAT team members, to protect his country singer girlfriend. I got to hit the dun 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 because it doesn't make any mother loving sense, baby. Now, today's the 26th of November. I want to make that abundantly clear because tomorrow, all right, because tomorrow is turkey time. Woo! I can't wait. Turkey time, baby. But here's what's interesting. This was reported and published 3 days ago. 3 whole days ago. Nothing's really changed, but you can tell he's got, his butthole's puckered up. He's a little concerned. All right. This is his girlfriend. And a lot of people are assuming that maybe she a spy. Because they're like, how could she be dating? They're like, her dating him. How did he get her? Well, here's the thing. Let me just make this abundantly clear. All right. Maybe he's just got a really great personality and she just loves his personality. Or maybe she really likes power. There's a lot of women that are boinking uglies with other dudes that may not be in their caliber. You know what I'm saying? But then they, you know what I'm saying? They get with them because either they got money or they got power or they got money and power. You see what I'm saying? So either it's personality, because this is a good photo of him. That's actually a very good photo of him. That's a good photo of him. He looks good there. Right? Not the usual look that we have, which is just, the crazed look in his eye, right? He looks happy and calm right there, right? But she's dating him. There's a lot of rumors saying that she's a plant, that she's a honeypot, that she's honeypotting Cash Patel. I can't even say this normal. Okay, yeah, maybe they face-tuned his face. You never know. I don't know, okay? But nonetheless, because they can't believe that her of all people would be dating the likes of Cash Patel. Trust me, when you got money or power or money and power or whatever, some girls like that stuff. I'm just letting you know in case you didn't know that information, okay? All right? So, Let's look into this. This is very interesting, okay? So he is being, and that's what the rumors are saying. Do I think that she's a honeypot? No, I don't think that at all. I think that's hilarious, okay? I think he's very much in love. I think they're very much in a relationship. That's what I lean on. But he's now doing stupid moves. Now he's being dumb, okay? Because he's Twitter-pated. And he's thinking with his weed whacker, and instead of thinking with his brain. And he has one of the most important jobs in the freaking world, and he could be abusing that power to appease and maybe get his girl off. Yes, I said it. So let's continue. Let's look at this. So FBI Director Cash Patel is facing criticism for using SWAT team members as security for his girlfriend. This is actually true. Criticism because they have FBI security detail in place to protect the country singer 27 from potential threats. This is what MSNBC, but now they're called MS Now. That's what they've been reporting, citing 2 people with direct knowledge of this situation. So the detail, which is made up of elite agents who are typically assigned to Nashville FBI's field office, per outlet, has sparked concern that the unusual assignment may delay law enforcement response to actual emergency situations. The atypical use of agents has also been slammed as an abuse of power and misuse of resources. The New York Times reported that resources have been diverted from the SWAT team to Wilkins several times in the recent months. The use of agents with specialized and high-risk duties is in this way is highly unusual, the outlet reported, citing both current and former FBI officials. Now, they're happy. They're in love. Good on you. I'm happy to hear that. But this is also on the taxpayer's dollar. And wouldn't you think that SWAT team, FBI SWAT should be somewhere else if ish hits the fan, where it really matters? No disrespect, but honestly, I'm going, yo, why aren't we using our brain? Why aren't we using our head that's on our shoulder, not the head that's what's going on here? It doesn't make sense. So this is one of the many reasons why he is in serious trouble. Now, let me just say you this too, and why his job is on the chopping block. And hopefully, same thing with Pam Bondi. I have a feeling there's going to be a change of scenery here very, very soon. And it's not only going to be Cash Patel, it's going to be Pam Bondi eventually, because she's going to do something that he don't like, that Trump don't like, and he going to say, you're fired. Now, when it comes to Cash Patel, okay, have you not noticed? He's doing everything he can right now to try to be in front of all this stuff, to be like, look at what I did. That's why I was like, I want to relive that moment one more again, because it's so telling. He is worried about losing his job. Or he goes back and he just becomes a glorified podcaster all over again. And don't get me wrong. I mean, shoot, I'm a podcaster. Shoot. The water's just fine over here, nice and warm, okay? And nobody peed in it. It's just nice and warm. That's all, okay? So he can come on back. Plenty of corners to be saying whatever you want to say on these platforms. So go do your thing, okay? But one thing is for sure. When you're using taxpayer dollars to fly on your PJs, private jets, just so you know, and getting security detail for your boo thing, that isn't your wife, she ain't the mother of your children, that's a really, really bad look. Here's the other thing, too. Don't get me wrong. He is with her. They are in a relationship. If he's getting threats and she's starting to get threats as well, I get the concern for extra security for her. But why use FBI agents for protection? Why not just hire a mother-loving security detail for your girl and just float the bill, pay the mother-loving bill? You make enough. That doesn't make sense to me. You see what I'm saying? So if you add everything else on top of it, this happens to be this whole security detail and him flying out to her country music shows and concerts and all that on the taxpayer dollar is a very, very, very bad look. And now that it's becoming public knowledge, Trump doesn't like that. You know he has to react because the American people are going to be mad if they're going to let the likes of somebody like him take advantage of that situation. It's ratchet in my personal opinion. Venus said, so ghetto. Yes, it's ratchet. It's ratchet as hell. Like I said, you make enough money. I don't know if he's got kids or he's been married before or anything like that. I'm assuming he's just a single man with no children. If it's an extra stream of money that you have to pay for extra detail for your girl that you are obviously devastatingly in love with, then go pay for it on your own bill, not on the American dollar. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Remember what happened with Tiffany, what's her name? From the Illinois mayor, Tiffany Dalton? I think it was Tiffany Dalton, right? Tiffany, what was her name? That's going to drive me crazy. Hold on, Tiffany Henyard. Tiffany Henyard. Remember what happened with Tiffany Henyard? Taking taxpayer money, using it for her own discretion, at her own discretion, buying all kinds of stuff, wigs and everything, that good her. Remember all that? Buying things on Wayfair and Amazon and Temu and all this stuff. Finally, she's gone, but at the same time, she was doing things on taxpayer dollars and she was getting in trouble for that. This should not be tolerated whatsoever. I don't give a damn about, whether or not that's his boo thing or not. He should not be doing what he's doing right now. So with that being said, we have got to go and take just a quick trip down memory lane about what just happened earlier a second ago. And just see, you could see the desperation. You can smell it from a mile away. Let's just relive that moment one more again, can we? It was deserves an Oscar.
House, Uniform Division of Secret Service were in the immediate area as well.
What kind of weapon the alleged perpetrator used?
We do not know at this time. It's still under
Thank you,
investigation.
Andrew. We're going to be able to take a couple more.
Has been able to question the suspect, or is his condition so severe that you haven't been able to have a conversation?
Sure. Again, so as I said, we're very preliminary in the investigation, so we're looking to all aspects of who the individual is, his connections. At this time, he's still in the hospital receiving treatment.
And I would just like to add, the reason that this suspect is in custody is because of the bravery of the men and women of the National Guard who responded due to their extensive training to secure American lives today. There was not any further injury and any further shootings. We should highlight the fact that the men and women of law enforcement, the interagency, the Department of War, and the National Guard executed their training with great precision today and prevented an even greater tragedy from befalling us. These National Guardsmen are heroes, and we must pray for their safety and their speedy recovery. And as the chief said, we are in the preliminary stages of this investigation. We will run down every single lead, every piece of evidence. This is the power of the U.S. government at its best at the state, local, and federal level. That is why this interagency group is standing behind us to assure America and the world that we will continue to keep D.C. safe. And thankfully, we have Metropolitan Police Department, the National Guardsmen, and federal agents, and the Department of Justice and Attorney General willing to prosecute the mission to keep Americans safe. And President Trump has rightly stated that this heinous act will be investigated, and he has thanked the National Guardsmen and women and the men and women of law enforcement.
I don't understand why he said all of that, right? But at the same time, didn't it feel like he wrote that down and like memorized it real quick? And he's like, I gotta say this really quick before I forget. All right, so here it is. Here we go. Thank God to all these people and everything. And don't get me wrong. Yes, thank God for the first responders and all that. No, I'm not throwing any shade on that. I'm just throwing shade on the Patel. Okay. I'm sorry. It's just now you can see he knows he's in trouble. He knows that his job is on the line. So now it's like, I gotta get my P's and Q's together right now. And I gotta kiss as much booty hole as I possibly can. And he's like, hey, I got the mouthwash and the dental floss. If I really got to get in there, I got it all. I'm ready. Let the booty hole kissing begin. And that's what we're seeing right now. Okay. That's what we're seeing right now. It's very interesting. It's telling, don't you think? Very telling. But we'll see what happens here. Of course, all jokes aside, we are still waiting to find out what happens with these two National Guardsmen. Like I said before, in the very beginning, we heard that they were gone, that they lost their lives, but then apparently they're still alive, which is great news. They're still fighting for their lives. Hopefully, we're going to find out here a little bit later on that they're okay. I hope that that's the case, because again, this is sad. And I don't think, I know some other people will be like, yeah, bring in the National Guard, 500 more. It'll quell all the problems. I don't know if it will. I think it might agitate even more people and make even more people mad. And maybe more situations like this that just happened might start again here in DC. I don't know. Okay. I don't have all the answers. I can't predict the future. But what I do know is that what happened to these two should not have happened. It is tragic. It is very sad. This happened right before Thanksgiving. And for a fact, those two guardsmen, I'm sure are very much looking forward to having their Thanksgiving meal with their family and friends, and they won't be able to have that now. Now they will be spending their Thanksgiving inside a hospital fighting for their lives. That's sad, y'all. Like I said, all jokes aside, we have two people fighting for their lives. And one monster, one piece of ish that's not cooperating with police also fighting for his life as well. Hopefully we'll find out more about this, why this happened. They said these two were definitely targeted. Hopefully we get more information about, did he come from a bus stop? Did he come from, I don't know if they have a subway system there. I think they do, but I don't know. Okay, I don't know DC like that. Did he come out of a taxi? Did he just walk down the street and find just anyone? What's really going on here, right? Hopefully we'll get more information, and when we do, we'll talk about it, okay? But we got to be careful out here, guys, because everything is on a very, very sensitive nerve right now, right? The nerve is exposed. It's very, very sensitive. I just hope whatever's going on here gets figured out and it stops right there, right? It doesn't explode into something more, okay? But that is the show, guys. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really means a lot. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Please do me a favor before you head out. Oh, shoot. I forgot about these super chats. Dagnabbit. Hold on. I'm not done yet. I'm sorry. Let me just put the theme music underneath really quick. I forgot these super chats. My bad. So, Angel in disguise. Thank you so much for the love. Love to you too. And yes, shout out to all the mods and everybody in the chat. Thank you so much, guys. Okay. But let me get this other super chat. Thank you so very much. Charlene, thank you so much for the love. Where's zero tolerance? National health care, key component of societal violence. But it's these situations where they barely contain their glee, stiffens their resolve and their whatnots. Like little boys playing army figures or playing with army figures. Yes. It is kind of that thing, right? Charlene, I was looking at it and it looked like Pete Hegseth just got, like a smirk on his face, while he's talking, like, we ain't gonna back down. We're gonna bring in more. Can't wait. But I got to contain it. But I'm gonna smile. I'm gonna smirk when I say it, though. We're not backing down. We're only revving this bad boy up. It's like, that's insane. I have not heard anything new about the David stuff. What is it, Nurse Janice? Real quick before we head out, let me know. Holla at your boy. Talk to me. I'm waiting. We're still here. We ain't going nowhere yet. We ain't going anywhere yet. And yes, I haven't gotten to say this yet, but I was going to say that at the end, but I forgot about the super chats. So again, I appreciate the super chats again, of course. The grand jury. Ooh. I'm going to have to look that up and then we'll talk about it probably this evening. Okay. We'll do our own Skanksgiving. Okay. If you don't know what Skanksgiving is, I'll explain that in another show. Okay. Have a look on the web, New York Times. Yes, I will take a look. Okay. I will take a look. Okay. But here's the thing. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really means a lot. If I don't see you tonight, which you most likely will, please enjoy your Thanksgiving if you are celebrating Thanksgiving, because I know some people aren't, and some people aren't, watching from America. You guys are watching from all over the globe. So make sure if you are celebrating Thanksgiving that it's a fun one, that it's a relaxing one, and it's a safe one as well. And also, especially tonight, okay, there's going to be a lot of people out here in these streets drinking and most likely driving. All I ask for you guys to do is to drive carefully if you're sober, but arrive alive, okay? So if you got to have like a designated driver drive your drunk ass somewhere and back home, then make sure you do that, okay? We don't need people getting pulled over. We don't need people getting themselves in car accidents either. So please make sure you do that, okay? And for those of y'all who aren't enjoying Thanksgiving, enjoy your Thursday. Hopefully it's fantastic, all right? And of course, if there's any breaking news, I'll be breaking that news to you guys that tomorrow as well, if it's in a short or if it's in a post. So keep an eye on it because, seems like crime doesn't take any time off, okay? But please do me a favor before you head out. Hit that like button down below. Crush it. Do what it do. Hit that reaction button. Of course, if you're watching on these other platforms, all right? Make sure you hit that follow button. Crush that follow button if you're watching on these other platforms. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Subscribe. All right. Go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips and Pascal Raw. Subscribe to those channels as well. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload. That'd be greatly appreciated. Hit that join button down below. Check out my Patreon. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. PascalMerch.com. All right. Anyway, guys, it is time to get going. Much love to you guys. I'll be talking to you guys very, very soon. Stay safe out there, and we'll be talking very soon. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys, but I'll most likely be on late this evening to rap with you guys about a bunch of other things as well. So anyway, it's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.